Thanks for joining us, everyone. Somebody just verify what you're seeing for me. Tara, are you seeing the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All righty, so we are here to learn about using the OSLIS resources and especially more specifically the Learn to Research resources, sorry. And I just wanted to point out that, OSLIS is a project of the Oregon Association of School Libraries in partnership with the state library, mostly for the annual grant that we give and the like the training and promotion part that I help with. Our presenters today, I'm at the state library. I'm Jen Maurer. I'm the school library consultant. And we also have Lee Morlock. She's a librarian at Jefferson High School in Portland Public, and she is the OESL standards representative. And then we have Molly Sloan, who is a librarian at Portland Jewish Academy, and she is our chair of the OSLIS committee. And Tara Perkins is the librarian at Cedar Oak Park Primary School, and she's in Westland Wilsonville, and she's been on the OSLIS committee. Boy, Molly and Tara, I don't know, they're running at a decade, if not more, on the OSLIS committee.
Tara has me. I have you, Molly. Wow, all right, maybe by a year.
Okay, so I'm going to get us started with a little bit about navigating OSLIS and the Learn to Research section. And I think I'll just use the slides for right now. And I might jump into the live OSLIS site when I'm done. And anybody who's a co-presenter, if I'm running long, give me a nudge. Thank you. So here we go, navigating OSLIS. So first of all, if anybody says, what is OSLIS? I will start with the name. It stands for the Oregon School Library Information System, but I don't really hear anybody call it that anymore. And so if you're, it's great to refer to it just as OSLIS. I summarize it as an information literacy website and the central K-12 access point to the statewide databases that the state library provides. That's the suite of Gale databases and Learning Express Library, which I think you probably have heard that it's going away as of November. Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out, you know what? I'm just going to go to the live OSLIS site, sorry. So when you go to OSLIS, you're still seeing OSLIS, Tara?
Yes.
All righty, thank you. So when you go to OSLIS, when you go to oslis.org, you get 4 options here. And I'm going to focus on the difference between elementary and secondary, and then the difference between elementary and educator. So besides this color scheme, the color scheme for elementary is, orange and purple, and secondary is blue and green. But when you click on, elementary, this is what I call the landing page. When the URL says elementary.oslis.org, or when it says secondary.oslis.org. And in that case, if you are going to share OSLIS on your library or school or district website, I would suggest that is the point to do it. If you're at an elementary school, share this URL. If you are at a secondary school, share the secondary equivalent. K-8s, K-12s, it's a little more difficult. You can decide where you're using it the most and or just, label it like elementary OSLIS, secondary OSLIS, and link to both. But if I'm on the elementary landing page, and you can see that clearly that there are 3 sections to OSLIS. There's the Learn to Research section that we're going to focus on today. Quickly, I will click on Find Information. That's where we have the central K-12 access or access to the databases. And notice that all those 3 sections are in the top URL, the navigation bar. So the 3rd section is Cite My Sources. For elementary, we have an MLA citation generator that is free, accurate, and it's what do I want to say? Ad-free. It doesn't cost you anything, and there are no annoying pop-up ads, and it's accurate. And so a student would just click their source type, let's just say social media. There's some examples at the top. What are you citing? You're going to a post or a tweet. You fill out all the fields, and then you click Create Citation below. And when you do that, there's an option to save it as a Word document or a Pages document, or to save as a Google Doc, or just to copy and paste it into an existing document already. Now, that is all true for secondary as well. And I'm just going to show you, I could change the URL, or I could go here and click on Switch Site. So I'm an elementary student, and I'm going to change to secondary student. And when I do that, I get to the secondary landing page. Like I said, they parallel each other as far as the navigation and the layout. And so there's still a learn to research section, a find information, and a cite my sources. Now, once you start clicking on things, that's where it differs a little bit. For example, when I click on cite my sources, secondary, besides having MLA, has an APA citation generator. Same thing. It's free, ad-free, and accurate, and it works the exact same way. If I were to go to find information, I still have all the Gale databases, but different ones are featured. And if I go to learn to research, you are going to see that OSLIS presents the process of research as a 6-step process for secondary, starting with define and ending with reflect. So it's 6 steps. And here's where I want to show you some differentiation. I'm going to go back to elementary student, and I'm going to click on learn to research. And here you can see it's a 4-step process for elementary. So we're teaching the same process, but we've tried to make it a little less intimidating. And so it's only a 4-step process on elementary, okay? So I'm going to quickly show you the difference between student and educator. I am on the Learn to Research landing page. How do I know? Well, it says in my URL, it's highlighted in my navigation bar, and it says here at the top, learn how to do research. And I'm on elementary student. So I'm going to switch to elementary educator. And I'm going to go back and click to learn to research. And things look very much the same, except that educator is in the URL. And if I scroll, now there's a dividing line and there's a section for educator content, okay? So on the educator versions of the page, anything above the dividing line is exactly the same as what students see. And anything below the dividing line, if there is something there, is intended for educators. For example, since this is the landing page for learn how to do research, it gives an overview of what I just talked about. What's the difference between student and educator? What all do I need to know about the learn to research section? How do I navigate this website? Okay. The same is true for secondary. I'm not going to go there right now. So the other thing I want to show you about is how to navigate within the Learn to Research section. So when you click on any step, and this is true for elementary or secondary, so plan is a step, find is a step. So I'm going to click on the plan step. You get to what we call a step landing page. And it always starts with a 30 to 60 second overview video of that step. Very quick, like, oh, this is what it means to plan your research. And it points students to these 2 sections, the Learn to Research box and the Resources box. And that's important. Those were going to stay on the page in the Learn to Research section. The Learn to box is all of the sub-steps related to the current step. So plan has 4 sub-steps. If I were to click on a sub-step, I can understand my project. I still have a Learn to box. That stays the same because I can get to any other sub-steps, but the resource box changes, the content does. The content in the resource box is always specific to the page you are on. So this page is about understanding my project, getting started. So some of the resources are a video called Understanding Your Assignment, a book called Choose It, Find the Right Research Topic, etc. Okay, so the resource content is always specific to the page you are on. And there are 3 types of resources. We have videos that OSLIS committee members have developed. There are ebooks that we subscribe to. And I'm not going to say the login, but it's in the slideshow. And there are worksheets. Now, there aren't necessarily all 3 types for every page, but many of them will be there. For example, create my questions. I'm going to go to that sub-step. Same Learn to options, but the resource box has changed. And now the videos are like using keywords, know what to ask, forming great research questions. Okay. So that is the navigation of OSLIS that I wanted to go through, and I am going to turn it over to Lee Morlock.
Thank you, Jen. I'm Lee Morlock from Jefferson High School in Portland, and I will show you through and talk you through the standards and learning goals searchable database. And so I'm going to share my screen. Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry, hang on. Okay. And hopefully, can everybody see my screen representation?
Yes.
All right. Yes. Okay. So the OSL standards and learning goals searchable database. There is so there are the three strands: the information literacy, the reading engagement, and the social responsibility. And so here you can see we have technology crossed out. So when we were writing the learning goals, the committee had made the decision to integrate technology into the strands. And so you will no longer see technology as part of the OASL standards because those are now integrated into the three other strands. And so the hope of the learning goals, or the intention of the learning goals, is to help teachers and librarians or teacher librarians know or plan lessons and units based on what students should know and the progression of what they should know through K through we have the first 2 years of college, community college. So you can see here that I'm on the learning goals searchable database, which we made available as an easy access point for planning lessons. We have so we can search through we can search the learning goals. We could also search the standards if we're looking for a particular standard. We can also search through grade level. If we just hit the search button, you can see all 576 results that will go through all the standards, all the learning goals, and all the grade levels. So if you just wanted to browse all of those, we also have a glossary option. So if you select the glossary, it has all the terms that we use in this particular context. So if you just want to look at the entire glossary, you can peruse that. Let's see. And so if you decide that you let's see, I'm trying to think what else I want to show you. Sorry about that. You can also, there is a video if you would like to, watch a big video on how to navigate the website. You can either search any terms, and if you can either search just one word, you could search all or an exact phrase, or you can use truncation if you're not sure what word form it is that you're looking for. So I'll use eval to find evaluate. In your search, any of the highlighted terms will then take you to the glossary. Again, what does this word mean within the context of the learning goals? And then you can also see for we also have this ELA Common Core crosswalk. So we have connected the indicators with indicators as they relate to Common Core. So we can see the connection of the work that we're doing, as well as what is happening in the English language arts, to show that there's a lot of crossover between what we do and what research happens in classrooms. And let's see. So I'm going to show you one more thing. So we have Molly here, and she's going to share a lesson that she has created on on inquiry. And so if I were Molly, I want to know what learning goals I have for inquiry, and then her lesson is on for fifth graders. And so if I search that, I get one record. I'm only looking at one grade level. And so here we have follow an inquiry-based process, which is what the lesson that she's going to share with you will do. And then as a fifth grader, right, the goal here is what they should know at the end of fifth grade would be to follow an inquiry process and then using a prescribed framework. And so here we have, Molly will show you the process, but then also using the information that's found on the research found on the OSLIS website that she will also show you, and that Jen walked everyone through. And I think you can also, one of our other features here is that you can copy this actual search. So you can save this search as a shareable link. This is a new feature. At some point, hopefully we'll be able to also have a way for you to print out, have a nice printable form or format of your search results. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. We're getting there. And then you can also see at the top here, if you want to look at the standards themselves with the indicators as a PDF format, that is available on the OSL standard website as well. Take a minute to load. And so this is a nice printable page if you wanted to print out just the standards and the indicators. You can also learn more about the standards here at this link. Or you can take yourself back home to the OSL website. But hopefully the searchable database hopefully is easily accessible through oslstandards.org. And yeah, so I think that's sort of my brief overview of navigating the standards page.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee. But so Lee has to leave early, so I wanted to make sure that if anybody has any questions about the OSL standards website or the grade level learning goals, and if you want to ask Lee, feel free to unmute yourself and to ask your question.
Yes, please. I welcome all questions, and I do apologize for having to take off a little bit early today.
No worries. While the Jeopardy music is playing in our heads, while we're giving people a little wait time, I will say that I wanted to give props to the standards committee. I mean, they worked, some of them spent a decade on this work from beginning to now. You know, it was a long road, and it involved some presentations to the Oregon State Board of Education, which I'm sure was harrowing. And just, you know, kudos for the great work and for the easy access.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so grateful for the work the Standards Committee has done. It's been a game changer.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions. So Lee, thank you so much. And Molly, do you want to take your part?
Sure, I'll hop on. Thanks, Lee. Can I share my screen?
Thank you.
There you go. I'll share my screen and all right, let's see. Is everybody seeing my slides now? All right, thanks. It's been a while. I'm a little out of practice on my Zoom game. So hello, everybody. My name is Molly. I'm the librarian at Portland Jewish Academy, and I am sharing a project I've developed over the last few years with fifth graders, and it's a complete inquiry unit. It really spans the whole year, and I have found that the OSLIS resources are like my guide to get me through it. Like I step through step by step in the research process with the OSLIS resources. I think it helps because I helped create them, and so I know what they are and I know how good they are. So I hope that a little glimpse today and a little independent digging on your part will help you see how valuable the resources are too. Okay, so this acronym was given to me by Catherine Roy, who I'll introduce in just a minute, not in person, but I'll tell you about her in a minute. This has kind of been my mantra this year. We just started using the wiser idea this year, which is wonder, and I'm going to change it to inquire instead of inquiry because it's the only one that's not a verb. Synthesize, express, and reflect. So that's basically the process that we envision, and we keep coming back to this acronym with the kids to show them where we are in the process. We started the year, but I gave them all a little tiny journal that they could keep in a pocket or in their backpack or take with them when they travel. It's their wonder words. It's where they are supposed to record their questions and things they're curious about, whatever crosses their mind. And I emphasize that this is just for them. I'm not going to look at this. I'm not going to grade it. No adults are going to look at it. So this is where you can really put your honest and sincere curiosities of life. This is a new thing I discovered this year. I know it's been going a while, so you may have already been a subscriber, but if not, I highly recommend it. Ian Bird is this teacher who gathers together interesting curiosity probes that he shares once a week in an email. And these are a couple that I've shared with my kids recently that they were completely enamored by. That Van Gogh on the water is really spectacular. And that on the right-hand side, that anteater with the ants is carved in a leaf. And the leaf carvings are like mind-blowing. So with fifth grade, I will just start our time together. They come into the library, they sit down, and they can't wait to see what little puzzlement I have to share with them from Ian Bird. So if you haven't subscribed already, this is a great way to get that pondering, questioning, curious thought habit happening. Whoops, I didn't mean to play. Let's see. How do I advance my slide? I don't want that either. Maybe it's going to make me, there you go. All right, so this is Catherine Roy, and I first met Catherine at the OSL conference down in Lincoln City a few years ago, and she is an amazing person. She's got many award-winning nonfiction books to her credit. She's both an author and an illustrator. And she and I have worked up this collaborative project where she works with our kids. She meets with them 5 times over Zoom. And I put the bullet points there are the 5 things that she shares with us. And she really demonstrates her research process and is really open with the kids about what she does when she gets stuck. How she, finds her way through challenging situations in both the research process and in the writing and the illustrating process. And she's really, she'll show us, we go into her studio with her and she shows us her sketches and she shows us her mind maps, she calls them. And if kids are stuck, they can tell her what they're stuck on and she gives them some ideas to get around it. She's really authentic and genuine with the kids, which I love. Unfortunately, she is one person and she can't collaborate with all the librarians of Oregon that way or all the librarians of the United States. So she's looking at ways of like maybe making videos of herself doing these things and making those available. She hasn't figured out exactly what she's going to do yet, but I asked her if she wanted me to share her contact information. And she said, it'd be great if you could send me, Molly, your email address if you're interested in collaborating with her in the future. And she will get in touch with you when she has a better plan about what she's going to do. She loves connecting with kids and her readers and her audience and, talking to them about what they're curious about. So she wants to scale this up somehow, but she hasn't figured out how she wants to do that yet. These are some of her books. If you are familiar, you might recognize some of her books. She's amazing. Really great at making nonfiction concepts accessible to kids. And then she teaches the kids how to make their nonfiction learning accessible to their readers. Okay, so this, and I'm going to post a link to this in the chat. To me, this is the meat of what I want to share with you today, because this is a step-by-step process of how I use OSLIS as I'm going through. The little squares are the steps of the process that I teach my kids. I think I may have left a few out, but these are the main ones. And then the links underneath are either to a video or to a activity sheet. We're in the process of getting all the activity sheets up onto the OSLIS page. So when you watch that video about choosing a topic, you can go right to this organizer that helps your kids organize their thoughts about it. So those, if they're not there yet, I have the links for you here and you can access them this way. So it's like a sneak peek. So let me go to the chat and I'll post this. There you go. That should be a viewable, whoops, and then you can make a copy of it. Close that back up again. So basically I teach them about, we brainstorm, we discover their curiosity. That's the puzzlements and the journals that they keep. They choose a topic and then they have to develop an open-ended question that's big that they can't just answer by a 3-second Google. They have to generate keywords and supporting questions to help them find their answer to the big open-ended question. So that's a whole, like I have to teach to that. I help them with taking notes and just a second. In fact, this one, nope. There, they love to color code their notes. This is from Catherine. So not all of them, it only works for some kids, but they love those that enjoy that. They'll categorize their notes and like all their answers to this question are going to be blue and all their answers to that question are going to be green. And so this is a way for them to do it in a fun way. So if you can provide those kinds of things, I think I got a lot of that at the dollar store. Then using the OSLIS video on using databases and choosing the right sources, evaluating and choosing your sources. So there's videos about that and activity sheets. Tara, by the way, was the one that helped create a lot of these sheets just this year. So they're hot off the presses. Giving credit to your experts, either by citing your sources within the text, like the signal phrase video, or using OSLIS here to the citation maker to cite your sources. And then we do a presentation celebration at the end. So that's just a quick overview. If you go to each of those links, you'll see that there's like activities that you can do with your kids. I feel like OSLIS does a great job of just kind of like handing me the stuff that I need to go right into the classroom and show the video and do the activity sheet. So if you're a little pressed for time, it's a really great time saver. So then we do this class book at the end, and each student has a spread in the book. I have some examples that you can see in a second. They all make a works cited page, and I put those in at the end of the book. So first the art pages that are inspired by Catherine Roy and her artistic becoming an illustrator. Talents are showcased, and then the citations are at the back. So the nitty-gritties at the back. We invite the parents to come in at the end, and we celebrate with sparkling cider. Here's some examples of student work, and then I brought the books in. I can just show you. I can hold up to the camera. I mean, we're talking very low tech here. This is just like an old binder foam bound book. But we do have a color copy machine at my building, and so we do make color photocopies, and every kid gets a book of all their classmates' research. So we present this with the cider, and it's a big accomplishment. We've changed the design of the cover a few times over the years, but I'll flip through the rest of these so you can see. I love that oxalotl one. I thought was really great because it showcased so many of the things that Catherine Roy teaches them. She teaches them about inset and zoom in and having a map and a diagram. I left it out there because I'm teaching this tomorrow. Part of the challenge is getting kids to not put all of their information into written text, but to make diagrams and share. Catherine teaches them to make informative illustrations, not just pretty decorations for the page. So she's always trying to get them to take key pieces of information out of the text and put it into their illustration as a diagram or a cutaway. And she gives lots of examples from her work that gives kids ideas for how they can do that. Okay, I think that's the end of my slides. So I will pass it off to Tara. Let me stop sharing my screen.
All right, well, hi everyone. So Molly, thank you. If you are in the wonderful position that Molly is, where you get to do the full inquiry process with a group of kids, yes, follow her outline. That sheet takes you exactly where you need to go through the process on OSLIS. And I have to say myself, I'm in the position where I get to collaborate with teachers, but with our curriculum, we do a lot of nonfiction reading and writing, and a lot of that is built into the curriculum. So when I get to come alongside and collaborate, I'm looking for the holes. I'm looking for the areas that maybe aren't as well fleshed out in the curriculum. You might find that too. You might get that email of, hey, we're starting nonfiction reading. Can you pull some books? And you might think, oh, yes, let me catch you in my web, because not only can I pull books, but I can help with your process. So when I'm thinking about OSLIS and I'm thinking about what can we do, I'm thinking, let's collaborate. Maybe you get to sit down and have a meeting. Maybe you get to flush out what's going to happen over the next 2-6 weeks. Maybe it's just an email. But what I like to do is I like to go through OSLIS. And when you get these slides, everything is linkable. This page right to OSLIS. And then the next page is what I wind up doing a lot of times. I create a PDF or a SMORE for teachers, and I send out just the things that I think that maybe together we can either work on. So when I see the kids in class, or if I'm pushing into the classroom, here's some skills. So let me show you how I do that on OSLIS. And please pause me, Molly, Jen, if anybody has questions, you're free to jump in and interrupt me as I navigate around. I'm not real good at seeing the chats as I do things, so feel free to let me know. So earlier, Jen was talking about the landing page, and then Molly said how wonderful it is. If you're new to OSLIS, it can be a bit overwhelming at times to find what you need. Let me show you how I do this. I'm at the elementary level, so this is the landing page that I use all the time. In the Learn to Research category, if I've met with my teachers, and I know for a fact that a lot of the way that they're going to be reading and responding to nonfiction involves note-taking, well, I know they're not going to need to be using or doing a lot of the note-taking pieces, but maybe they're going to wind up jumping out in a database, or they're going to go on the web. We have a couple of kids-friendly search engines that we can use, including our library. Destiny has a search engine piece, but you have to know how to use keywords. Okay, so in my planning, what am I thinking here? Oh, I might not be sure which grouping, which step, and we call them steps in OSLIS, but as we all know, research can be messy, circular. It's not necessarily a linear. It's not necessarily in a line, because that word's not coming to me. It's, it could be secular. So I go to the videos first. I know it's kind of breaking the rules, but it's okay. And then I go to the videos by research step. And I'm thinking, okay, I know they're going to be reading nonfiction cover to cover because our curriculum talks about becoming an expert. So we know that they understand their assignment because they have to read multiple sources. They have to pick a topic. But maybe it's that using keywords. So in here, when I look at using keywords, I might think, okay, here's the keyword video. So what step am I in? Oh, I'm in the find step. Perfect. What other skills will my students need that may not be covered in my curriculum or the classroom curriculum? So one of the things that I like in the find is on the taking notes, there's all kinds of worksheets right here for you. Let me move these out of the way. This is probably in your way. Where you can be like, oh, well, if I have a question, here's the one that I'm going to use to answer it. And in today's world where we're talking about what's fact versus opinion, super important worksheet to be using with kids. So how do you know it's a fact? There's another skill. Okay. Facts are true all the time. Opinions might wind up with bias. Oh, we're talking about bias. Hey, I know we have a video about that. So how do I navigate that? What do I do? Well, back here on that learn to research step, one of the things that I might find is how do you evaluate websites? I find this one, evaluating websites, is fabulous for 4th graders. And I find the evaluating and choosing sources takes it one step further, where when you're looking at the author's purpose, what you need to be doing is actually looking for bias, looking for the reasoning behind it. And so I wind up using this one more with 5th graders, this one more with 4th graders. And so back here, I also this might wind up as a part of our OSLIS worksheets. I don't have it there now, but I wind up using this one twice. You notice that it's linkable because I find that the OSLIS videos are really solid at providing the content, the language, the skills required for doing. But then we, as the teachers and teacher librarians and school librarians, we need to provide the practice and the modeling of practice. So we do this together. We look for timeliness on really good sites. I'm sure you can do a quick research, like there's the Explorers website, there's the Pacific Tree Octopus website, there's Dog Island. I love to compare with whatever theme it is that the class may be doing. So sometimes when we're researching for our nonfiction reading and writing curriculum, they might tie it into social studies. So maybe it's a social justice kind of a thing. Maybe it's the year where the 4th graders are studying weather. So maybe I'll be looking for things that somehow match with weather. Which site is real? How do you know? Who's the author? How do you read across sites? So first we watch that video, and then we go in and we practice together. And then I share some websites they practice independently, which is why if you're going to be working with teachers, pulling it together in one quick resource for them, super helpful. And OSLIS does an amazing job of just laying things out by step that you might find helpful. One of the things that I wanted to do in Plan is on Plan, there is a wonderful research rubric. I love to share this with teachers so that they can think about the whole process, get them caught in the web, and then they're starting to think, oh, maybe we need to reframe just being interested in a topic to what are my questions? So also it's PD for teachers as well as it is for using with the kids. And they love the idea that maybe there isn't time in the library, but I could always show the video. Everything's right there for me. Here's the worksheet to go with it. We could practice. So for me, OSLIS is all about providing that ready to go place for flushing out any sort of research and inquiry that you need to do. I was actually just doing this today with 4th and 5th graders when we were looking at the evaluating websites. One of the things that I love, 4th graders think that if a website was created before them or when they were born, of course you can't use it. It's not current enough. So we were talking about snakes of all things as the example. And I was saying, well, what happens if there's a website from 2006 just talking about the characteristics of a certain snake species? Would that be okay? Can you use that? How would you know? And then like, oh no, that's before my time. That's too old. Scientists are always learning something new. And I'm like, well, think about your parents. If they needed to know about snakes, do you think they would know that? Oh, yeah, okay. All right, then what if it's about habitat destruction? What if it's about the influence of snakes in the world, and maybe it's more along the food web? Has that changed? Would you want more current information then? You're like, oh, yeah, okay, all right. But then what about the basics of snakes and just like the species themselves? Would your grandparents have known that? Oh, no. We've learned so much since then. That's old news. It cracks me up. But what I'm saying, though, is basically if you have these videos, the using keywords, evaluating sources, how do you create a citation? Why should you bother to cite? You have the stepping stones that you need to hold these conversations with students and build or peel back the layers to get to the heart of what they already know and where you get to take them next. And we have the worksheets and the ebooks there to help you do that. I'm hoping that you'll have time to jump onto the OSLIS site yourself at your appropriate level and just start thinking of, what social studies topics are coming up. What science topics are coming up. How are these going to work for you and your teachers? I hope that helps. Jen?
Awesome. Thank you. That was great. Thank you so much, Tara. It's fun to see, like I have worked with Tara and Molly for, like I said, almost a decade, if not a little longer, on the OSLIS committee. And so we see, you know, we work together, develop scripts for videos and all, but it's fun to see their end of how they actually use this information. It is more than fun, it's helpful, and hence why I thought this video might be helpful. So I am going to share my screen and pick up on something that Tara said. Maybe it was Molly now. But I wanted to show that if you are using the videos, let's see here. Molly, can you confirm, are you seeing the OSLIS website?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
So,
sorry.
thank you. So I'm going to show secondary just because we spent a lot of time in elementary. It works the same way. Even the process that Tara outlined would work the exact same way because the, you know, the secondary and elementary sites mirror each other. Their navigation is the same. So if you go to the Learn to Research section, excuse me, and I don't think I showed this earlier, but you know, because there's more, of course, what do they call that? Below the fold, right? There's more information below the fold. So here's the 6 steps of the research process. And I wanted to point out that Molly uses a different process. She uses WISER, which is a really cool acronym. But that doesn't mean, I mean, that should be obvious, but that doesn't mean she can't use the resources within OSLIS, right? Because no matter what you label it, what you label the process and how many steps you assign to it, there are still concrete pieces that are going to be the same no matter what. For example, I have to have questions. I have to know what I want to know. And I have to then be able to break those questions down and generate keywords. So I just wanted to point out that it's really important, I think, to have at a school level, perhaps even at a district level, an adopted, so to speak, a research process. And if you're using OSLIS, great, you have one. It's secondary is a 6-step process, elementary is a 4-step process to help kids understand that it is a process. And even though it looks linear, it's circular, you might be going back after you do some searching and you go, well, I need more keywords because I did not find enough information, or I need to expand my my related words to the topic. So I wanted to emphasize that even if your school already uses a different research model, that you can pick and choose and use the pieces to still support that. But under the landing page, the How to Research landing page at the bottom of it, there's that link to the it's like a list of all the videos that relate to secondary. And
Yeah,
here's
like Tara, I go there a lot. I just jump straight to the videos, so you don't have to go through them as many clicks.
yeah. And so I'm just going to go ahead and click on that because I want to just go to a random video. I'm just going to pick advanced searching. And I'm going to point out 2 things. One is that at the top, there is the option to see the transcript of the video. And for you as a teacher, that or a library staff person, that might be helpful. Like, you know, you're going to watch the video once, but I don't know about you, if like an instruction manual only sends me to a support site, only sends me to videos, I'm like, I don't want to watch a 7-minute video to find out a 30-second answer to a question, right? And so, you know, you're going to watch the video to teach it to students, but if you're like, wait, what did they say about XYZ? You can go to the transcript. And the transcript can serve kind of as your instructional text too, like if you want to emphasize or re-emphasize some things to the class. So I wanted to point out the transcript. And also, notice at the bottom, it says that there are quizzes for these videos. So if you were on the educator version of this, you could grab a quiz. And some people are looking for ways to measure how effective they've been in teaching students, you know, the information literacy. So you could have students take the quiz before they watch the video, and then do your instruction, watch the video, do your lessons, and at the end have them take it again. And then you have your before and after, you know, you have your outcome measures. You know, it's like before, only 30% of students could understood the concept of identifying keywords, and after 80% understand or higher, because you guys are awesome. So I just wanted to throw out some ideas about how you could use some of the extra resources. And it looks like we have a a question here. Let's see, other frameworks, teachers. Okay, all righty. So it wasn't a question, just a comment. So I will go on. There was, let's see, that is what I wanted to show. So I'm going to go to the slides, my portion of it. And so our examples so far have focused on elementary, and I wanted to focus on secondary. I will say OSLIS does not distinguish between middle school and high school. And even for elementary, you notice that there was no like first grade section, second grade. It's pretty much just elementary and middle school and high school. And so from there, feel free to adapt and use as you need. And while we call elementary, I honestly would say it's upper elementary. You know, it's grades 3, 4, and 5, especially 4 and 5, when you're really starting to get into the research process. Okay, so building on keywords, the idea of, well, okay, I'm just going to back up. So if you're going to build a lesson using OSLIS resources, I would say the first thing you need to do is identify gaps in your students' understanding, right? What do they not know about the research process? And Molly and Tara both kind of alluded to that. And so, like, for example, when I was in the schools and still in the school libraries, if a student was sent to the library for a book because they're doing a research process and the kid would say, I need a book about a president. Well, okay, what do you need to know about them? I don't know, I just have to do a research project, you know? And it was like, they had no questions. They didn't know what they wanted. And so, you know, Abraham Lincoln, boy, you could write a dissertation, but you have to write a 2-page paper. So how are we going to narrow this down? We're going to narrow this down with your questions. So for a real life skill for me was that students did not know how to develop questions. But I wanted to go along with the theme here. So I focused on generating keywords, which is also very difficult for students. But I'm going to show you from the secondary level. So let's say you've been thinking about your students and how you've interacted with them, and you realize, ooh, mine struggled to generate keywords. And I'm a 9th grade teacher, 9th, 10th, high school. And so the second step would, after you've identified the gaps, would be to, well, if I want to focus on a certain concept, does it relate to the OASL standards and or the AASL standards and or ISTE, you know, whatever standards you might be using? You know, that way you can show my work is correlated to standards. And I went ahead and searched that OASL standards database that Lee showed us earlier. And I searched, I'll be honest, I searched for the word keyword or keywords, and I wasn't, and I limited it to 6th grade and up, right? 6 and all through the rest of the grade levels. And I wasn't finding anything. And Lee did tell me that, you know, it's, the database will only find the exact words. It's not like, it doesn't have Google technology behind it. You know, it's not going to think, and well, keywords also means this. I'm going to shove this to you too. So I was like, when I brought it up, I saw that it related to like grades 13 and 14 only. And I'm like, well, we do keywords a lot sooner than community college level. So I noticed what it was saying, and it used the word strategies. So I then did another search for the word strategies, as in search strategies. And lo and behold, I found what I'm showing here, a screenshot of. And so I just wanted to reiterate what Lee was saying, that the OASL standards, there are 3 strands. Information literacy is one of them, and that's what we're focused on when we're teaching people how to do research. And then there are multiple standards, 3 to 5, I think, under each strand. So this happens to be standard number 1, use skills, resources, and tools to inquire, think critically, and gain knowledge. And then each standard has multiple indicators. And I can tell I'm on the 4th indicator because I'm on D right here. Whoops. And so I am, so the indicator is develop, select, clarify, and use strategies to search for information. So that's all that used to exist in the first round of the standards. It was the strand, the standard, and the indicator. And then it was actually this Oregon State Board of Education that said, you know, it would be helpful if you broke that down by what students should know at certain grade levels. And hence the grade level learning goals were born. And so when you do the search, like I said, I limited it starting from 6th grade up. So you're not seeing anything below 6th grade, but there is stuff below 6th grade. And I'm a ninth grade teacher, so I'm paying attention to the grade level learning goal for ninth grade, 9th and 10th. And it says, with guidance and support, use precise language and domain specific vocabulary, keywords, but it doesn't say keywords, and advanced search strategies to assess and improve search results. Now, if this were live, remember Lee had said anything that's bolded and underlined, you can click on it and it'll open the vocabulary section. And when I do that, advanced search strategies, it says it includes keywords, subject searches, etc. Okay. So the first step was to identify gaps. And the second step was, hey, are there any subjects or standards that I should be teaching to that correlate with this? And then the third step, explore OSLIS. Explore OSLIS's Learn to Research section specifically, and you're going to find content. And so, for example, when I did this on secondary, and I'll go to the OSLIS site in a minute, and I believe I typed in keywords in the search bar because I really appreciated the ways that Molly and Tara showed, because there's not just one way to find information on OSLIS. And yeah, it can be overwhelming at first to understand the framework and understand how it works. So if you typed in keywords into the search results, eventually you'd get to this secondary Learn to Research page called Identify Keywords and Concepts. And that's exactly what you want to be teaching your kids. And so there's a whole page of instruction that teaches the kids about that. And then also that same page, if I'm looking in the in the resources box on the right, there is a worksheet that breaks it down by keywords, concepts, synonyms, and related terms. There's a video that talks about it. It's called Generating Search Terms. There's an ebook called Find Your Way Online that is all about identifying your questions and then breaking those down into keywords. So there is, will there be so much information about every little subtopic you want to teach? No. But there is going to probably be something on every major topic that you would teach students about the research process. Okay, so I'm going to escape from here for a second. And I'm going to go to OSLIS. Well, maybe. I just like to start from the beginning every time so that you can just see how we're navigating. So I want to do secondary. Actually, I'm going to type in keyword, which is dangerous because we're going to see live what comes up. There are a lot of results, but you can see that using keywords video quiz, it tells you where you are searching effectively. So there's going to be some guessing to this. So you can click around if you want, but what I would do instead is the secondary student, because this is a secondary example, and we're talking about the Learn to Research section. And you can guess if you want. It's either going to be in define or plan or find, right? Because by the time you're looking for keywords, creating is beyond that, presenting, etc. So define, if I look real quick, my Learn to box tells me the sub-steps. I don't see anything that looks like it relates to keywords. So I'm going to go to the second level navigation bar and click on plan, the next one. And it says plan your search strategy. Oh, well, a search strategy would be keywords, right? So I'm going to click on that. And now plan your search strategy. It's under next. It says, let's learn how to identify keywords and concepts. Okay. So that next button at the bottom is also helpful to know about. So where am I? If you're like, well, where am I in all of OSLIS? Your little breadcrumb trail will tell you, you're in the Learn to Research section, the plan step, the plan your search strategy sub-step, and then you're in, the section that teaches about keywords. And so how many sub-steps are there for a plan? Little quiz you can tell yourself. Well, the answer is 2, because the Learn to box always is all the sub-steps related to a step. And then the resources box, remember, is unique to that page of information. And so all these resources are somehow going to relate to identifying keywords and concepts. And so there's that video that I told you about. There's other videos too. There's the ebook that I told you about, and there is the worksheet. Okay. So I am going to go back to the slideshow. And I just wanted to point out, I think I kind of said the orange part up on that slide, that you know, I had a teacher one time ask me, you really think students are going to like start on page 1 and click through? And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, heck no. And even though there's a teacher version of this, I think give me 1 second here. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. You're going to pick and choose. And somebody just walked into the house, and so that's why I got thrown here. You're going to pick and choose, and then you may use some only OSLIS resources. You may use additional resources that you have. I'm not saying that OSLIS is the end all be all, that it's everything you need. But if you haven't explored it, you really should, because like Tara and Molly have given great examples of why it's going to be very helpful. And depending on what level of staff you are you classified staff? Are you licensed school librarian? Are you a classroom teacher? Please share this information, and also consider collaborating. If you do instructional collaboration, this is something great to collaborate on, and you've heard some great examples of how to do that. I was going to ask if we have any questions, and I see that there's a little discussion going on. Doesn't look like a question. Okay, so we're going to just take a minute or two and see if anybody has questions. And I think, well, I'm not going to stop sharing for right now. I'll just give you guys, the good old-fashioned wait time. I'll give 30 seconds or so. Feel free to unmute your mic. And if you have questions, or if you want to share, like this is how I've used OSLIS, feel free to share that.
We also have another committee member who's lurking in the participants category. So if that person wants to pipe up and share anything, please do.
No pressure.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Shelley.
Okay. Yeah. So, golly. Yeah. So I have used OSLIS resources all year long with my 8th graders at Arbor School, where 8th graders embark at the very beginning of the year on a year-long research project. So it goes through all the steps and micro steps and the back and forth. And I had a kid change their whole project in the middle of the year. And I finally caught on after a while. And so we had to go back to some of the steps in the process again, which for that particular student, it was fantastic, because probably because they were doing it for the second time, it got ingrained more than ever. But I used the videos a lot, many of the resources. And since I have been with OSLIS off and on for many years, it's sort of in my fibers, and I couldn't be teaching research and inquiry without it, I would say. And I'm collaborating very closely with an 8th grade teacher on this particular work, and she has been, I think, very won over by OSLIS in our work together. And she has I was mostly the lead on the research portion, but in moments when I couldn't be there, she was going to OSLIS as well and guiding students in the materials, because she became a real advocate and acolyte of the OSLIS resources. So if you've got any questions for me, all I know is I've used it pretty much weekly since the beginning of the year with my 8th graders.
Fantastic. And I like that's so true. The kid who had to do it again, he's like, oh, I have to do it again. And yet he probably learned more than everybody else, right?
I think so.
Okay. I wanted to thank all of our presenters, and thanks to Shelley for kicking in at the end there.